I am Witcher Pie, but you already know who I am. Proud, online, furious crusader of truth and justice, wielding his two big dong greatswords, facts and logic on each hand, always ready to annihilate any online boomer out of existence. Today we're going to talk about addons. I will show you why the average WoW player doesn't need any, why it's a big lie that more addons and useless garbage on your screen notifying you about mechanics you already know how to deal with does not equal to better performance, why the best players like to use so many, and why most people, and especially new players, actually are not even using addons in the first place and enjoy the game nonetheless. DBM and other similar garbage are in no way, shape or form mandatory in modern WoW. The only reason why they got introduced in the first place was because of how bad the visibility of most mechanics were back in the day. The mechanics of every boss fight were so bad in terms of visual and audio design that DBM was practically mandatory to understand what is even happening. And let's not twist our own nipples again. The addon bloat was present even back in the day, perhaps in an even worse state than today because of how bad the design was of most addons. Today, though, the fights are clear to see and intuitive to execute. Some bosses might be the exception to the rule, of course, but most modern fights are easy to understand and don't even require the need to watch a guide beforehand. The addons can't help you if you don't have a damn clue about the fights. You're still going to wipe for months on the same boss, even with a raid group that has all the addons installed. No addon is going to magically play the game for you. What most of them do, in fact, is to notify you for upcoming mechanics, and if you already know the fight, you don't even need that garbage on your screen. Even in mythic raid bosses, where you're doing so many progress wipes on each boss, my guild used to do more than 250 on each fight, you get to a point where you literally can play the fight in autopilot, or even with your monitor off, and just wait for that one dumbo to figure it out and move to the next boss. Mythic raids are something that nobody is really interested in playing, so we're not going to talk about that in detail in this specific video. So now we're going to prove my statements by casually getting the curve on the last boss in heroic raid difficulty and a +20 key with 0 combat addons besides a DPS meter. So let's see the heroic last boss of this expansion, Fyrakk, the pug killer, which, by the way, keep in mind, usually the last boss of an expansion is also the hardest one. As you can see, I've got literally no addons enabled besides a DPS meter. I'm severely undergeared compared to other players in this raid who even have the legendary axe, and I'm playing an off-meta spec. Let's see how I'm doing and how easy or hard it is to understand what you need to do at any point during the fight. I will pause during important parts to ask you in a form of a quiz, my dear viewer, what do you think we have to do? So let's begin. Should you stand in the frontal? Of course not, my sweet little Dumbo. It's being clearly suggested by the boss's voice line and the big red line indicator. On this mech, do you think you should stand inside the raid group with that big AoE circle with the boss clearly telling us that destruction reigns? Probably not, right? Should you stay in the big swirlies here or move out of them? Should your raid gather in one place and get hit by all these red lines? No? Bravo. You're actually smarter than I thought. Oh, what's this? The game has an integrated DBM for some specific mechanics that can one-shot you? Oh wow, that will be helpful for all the idiots who think you should stay in this big red spot. Phase 1 of this fight seems very difficult to play without addons, right? Like, how could I possibly know where should I go, or what to do without a DBM notifying me? Oh, so what are we doing here? Should we deal damage, perhaps to break his shield, and don't let the orbs touch the boss, maybe? What to do? I wish I had DBM installed so it could play the game for me. Next phase now. Oh, and what's this? These are colored blue. They have to be friendly. Shall I run on them with the red line indicator on me? Or should we all move away from these friendly ghosts and let healers do their job? Yes, you guessed it right once again. Well done. Move away from the ghosts if you're a DPS or a tank. Hard concept, I know. Things start to get a little bit complicated now. Oh, now what? Shall I stack these big red circles on my group and kill all of them? Of course not, you silly boomer. Just spread a bit and kill the mobs. Fyrakk takes a deep breath, and there is a huge indicator on the ground. Should you stay on that line or move out of it? Unfriendly red mobs spawned out of nowhere and they're casting something. Oh no, we should just let them be, right? Their casts are probably helpful for the raid, yes? Oh, and probably this big indicator called Flamefall in the center of the arena is a buff or something, so we should just stack there. Wow, that was a complicated phase. Now we're on the last phase though, so things will surely get very, very hard. These are blue-colored seeds. I guess they're helpful for something, right? You should probably stay on that frontal too. Oh, you have some red circles on you? You should definitely stack on your group with these, especially on the guys who have the blue seeds, right? The boss is casting Apocalypse Roar. Perhaps the seeds we talked about earlier could be useful here. Who knows? Maybe the seeds were just for fun, and there's no actual use for them. And with all that, the boss is down. I'm in the top 3 in the DPS meter too, as a 475 item level, while literally everybody else doing that much damage is 485. I also didn't fail a single mechanic or died even once. Easiest boss of my entire fricking life. And yes, I did almost the same DPS as a Fury with the legendary axe and 10 item levels above me. What can I say? I'm just built different than you, my boy. Congratulations, by the way. You've just learnt how redundant DBM and other garbage actually is. Fascinating. Oh, what's that? You're still skeptical? Oh, don't you worry. I'll show you a casual plus 21 key recording of me clearing it with even less UI. Maybe one day I'll show you how to clear plus 26 keys with every single UI element hidden too by pressing Alt-Z. So this key right here is just a fast montage so that you can see once again that every PvE combat addon is just useless. Everything that you need is already displayed on your screen more than enough. If you just want to play with your eyes closed and just react to DBM notifications, then that's fine. But spreading the lie that the game is unplayable without addons is a bunch of dog shit. Keep in mind that once again I outperform every single individual in this run as 10 item levels below them, with no addons. Most of them probably have DBM, weak auras, and have a UI of a spaceship, because sadly, they're under the common misconception that more addons and information on your screen means better performance. I'm not just performing better in DPS, but I'm also doing every single mechanic correctly, interrupting and using my CC on cooldown, and it's literally impossible for me to die or have bad position. As always, I'm the last one standing in every single wipe, and I'm kind enough to politely explain the mechanics to every single member of my team, even though they should already know that's because all of them are literally 2.8k Raider IO, and I'm just 2.2k for now with not that much experience on the dungeons this season. So yes, even in Mythic, plus 20 keys, which is like the top 3 to 4% of the player base, and while it's supposedly so hard to track everything, and there is so much hypothetical bloat of spells, casts, mobs, etc., you don't need addons. The game is in much better state than before. Back in the day, PvE combat addons were a necessity. Nowadays, it's simply a distraction. So how about you finally stop believing and following every BS online without critical thinking? Uninstall every single combat addon you have, embrace the gigachad way of addon-free, clean and immersive UI, and start stomping meta slaves, boomers, and addon addicts. I promise to you, if you just try to play without addons for a single day, you'll realize what a dumbass you've been your whole life. If you're still using addons even after this video, stop it and get some help.